BBC Radio 1 Extra, MistaJam.
I mean, that brings us perfectly to where we are now, which is the new single, Ill Manners, which, when we've played on this show, has had nothing but a positive response. Literally from people saying that it's good to hear you back to where, you know, this audience first heard you. It's good to hear you spit in the way that you're spitting, the fact that you haven't lost any of that hip-hop prowess throughout the Strickland Banks process, but also the fact that you're using the ears that you have got now to actually highlight something that a lot of artists that would be in your position would really run away from. And I know that there's been some controversy around the single, around the lyrical content. And I know that you've written something that, you know, that you want to actually make sure that people understand what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, last night I just had a stream of consciousness. I know why I made this song, but it's innate. It's inside of me. It's an instinct, feeling. I know when I'm doing right and I know when I'm doing wrong, and I know when I've got the tone of something correct and when I haven't. You know, we've just shot a great video with the director from Top Boy, Jan.
Nice.
And it's a visceral, energetic video, and it's a very delicate process because we are attacking a very delicate subject and we have to get the tone absolutely right, because I'm not trying to condone what happened during the riots. It disgusted me, made me sick, but it saddened me more than anything, because those kids that was rioting and looting, they've just made life 10 times harder for themselves. They've just played into the hands of what certain sectors of Middle England think about them. And we have a big issue and prejudice in this country from certain ignorant sectors of middle-class people towards the underclass. An example of this is the word chav, which in the video I state stands for council house and violent. This is a derogatory term used, again, by certain sectors of Middle England to define people from poor and unfortunate backgrounds that have less money than them, that haven't had as good an education. And for me, that term is no different from similar terms used to be derogatory towards race and sex. The only difference being that the word chav is used very publicly in the press. And, you know, if similar terms to do with race or sex were used that publicly in the papers, there'd be public outcry, and rightly so. And I just want to make people aware of the hypocrisy of it. You know, just because you were lucky enough to be born into a family that can afford to give you a good education doesn't make you better than anyone. It just makes you lucky. And there's, again, certain sectors of Middle England that need to wake up and realise that and stop ridiculing the poor and less fortunate. And when you attack someone because of the way they talk, the way they dress, the music they listen to, or their lack of education, and you do it publicly and it's acceptable to do that, you make them feel alienated. They don't feel like a part of society. So, you know, anyone kind of beaten into that apathy won't care about society because they feel in their eyes society has made it very clear they don't care about them. And when the riots kicked off, there was a lot of opportunities for young people to go and get free trainers and you know, free TVs and stuff. And the question I'm asking is, why were there so many of them that don't care about getting a criminal record? Why is that? And I think it's because we are fueling the fire. For every person that uses the word chav or is derogatory towards someone who's less educated than them, there is a less educated person ready to embrace it and say, well, look, I'm never going to change the way you think of me, so actually I'm going to play up to it and I'm going to fuel the fire. And in essence, that's what Ill Manners is about. But what it boils down to is we are all just, in the simplest form, animals. And when we're backed into a corner, we lash out. It's a primal instinct, and it's got nothing to do with class.
think the reaction to this record would have been different if you just sung it over a soul production?
Yeah, maybe. But it needs to be what it is. As an artist who's trying to convey a message, I need to get under people's skin. I really honestly feel that this is a subject that has been swept under the carpet since it happened. You know, a week later, Gaddafi got caught and you weren't hearing nothing about the riots in the newspaper, and I haven't heard anything since. And I want to know why it happened and how we're going to prevent it from happening again. Why is nobody asking that anymore? This is an issue we've had in society for probably longer than 30 years. It's never been at the front of the queue until the riots happen. So this song needs to have that visceral energy, and the music video needs to have that, just like the horrible pictures we see on cigarette packets that are designed to shock us into being aware of our actions and what we're doing, and to think about them and open debate. And that's what this song and the music video and the film Ill Manors needs to do, and I as an artist need to do, because I genuinely want to change things. And this is just the first step. Let me make my point first, let me raise the issue, and then if anybody wants to talk to me about how I think we can change these things, I'm ready.
So is that kind of what you're aiming towards, to kind of, for want of a better phrase, to be that more than an artist, as Public Enemy were back in the day, talking about hip-hop, where it wasn't just about their music, they also were carrying it through.
I live it, man. You know, when I started rapping and you know, started writing the first records, it came from a very lonely place. It came from me being a young man, going to school in a pupil referral unit because I've been kicked out of school, living in a society that I felt looked down upon me and would not listen to me. And I knew that there was a lot of other kids out there that felt the same way.
Pick up an AK and spray. Yeah. That's the mentality of kids today. Fuck a girl and get her pregnant. Underage. That's the mentality of kids today. Even when I got dough, I won't pay my way. That's the mentality of kids today. Stab a youth in the leg down an alleyway. Okay, that's the mentality of kids today.
The more I learned, the more wisdom I came across through certain people I met, certain books I read. I realised that if I could pass that on to these other kids, I could in some way improve their life. Because a lot of these kids come from family environments where they're told they're no good and they will never amount to anything. And then when they walk out their front door, society tells them the same thing. And when they read the newspaper and they read the word chav, it's very clear that they are not wanted. But you can change that, because that's just how you feel inside and how you let the world make you feel. And that was the motive behind the first record, and the motive behind, you know, probably any hip-hop music I'm ever gonna make, until we change the issue. And then I can start making pop music, you know? But
in the best possible way, I'm looking forward to your pop album.
I do that when I'm like 65 or something. But no, like through the film, tackle a lot of subjects, and it's been described as horrific by some people that have watched it. It's supposed to be. It is, because that's life. Not life for everybody, but the world I'm talking about, that's life for these people. And if you don't live in that environment, you don't have to address it. You can just get on with your own life and live happily. But I can't do that. I can't read a newspaper and read something negative that's going on in the world and just forget it. Turn over to page 3 and start looking at girls' pair of breasts. Because I don't just read something as a story, I visualize it. I imagine how it happened and how it went down, because the paper doesn't tell me how or why. And my films are just a product of that. Me trying to maybe explain to myself how they happen, why they happen, because I need to make sense of them.
Do you think other rappers in a similar position to you have got a responsibility to do the same?
No, they don't. You do what you care about. If you care about making money and being a celebrity, then you carry on doing what you're doing. I'm not judging you for that. That's cool. I'm just not that kind of person. It's more important to me to be an artist. If guys are going to spend their whole careers just making dance tracks, cool, that's them. That's the kind of person they are. You know, I'm not going to criticise them for that. In some ways, their life must be bliss, because they don't have to worry about the things I worry about. But I can't help it. I see things, I hear things that I don't agree with, and they torture me, and my only therapy is to write about them. And what I've come across is there are individuals within communities that have no financial backing, that just, I guess, kind of vigilante social workers just go out and say, do you know what? We got problems within our community, I'm going to do something about it, something positive. There's loads of these individuals all up and down the country. They've had to set themselves up as really small charities to get some kind of funding, to allow them to spend the time on the project they're trying to do. But because they're such a small charity, they don't get the awareness. So I think that we need to create some kind of umbrella charity that specifically gives those individuals within the community the money they need. Because it's those individuals that are going to make the difference, because they care and because they're doing it with no money, because this is not about money.
So financially, are you looking to set up a foundation off the back of this?
Yeah. I don't think I can bring out a film like this and bring out a record like this and not try and change it, like really try and change it. You just can't, because then it is me just bettering my profile. There's people out there that need my help, and I can give them my help. And if money's good for one thing, it's making other people happy.
What I wanted to kind of end on is, for that middle-class, Middle England person that went out and bought The Defamation of Strickland Banks, and that was their introduction to you, and now they've heard Ill Manors, and they've gone, what would you say to them?
Remember that I made the first record. Remember that I'm an artist and I'm as talented as the people you do respect. You know, this isn't about the lyrics. This is about hip-hop music. People are prejudiced towards hip-hop music because it represents maybe something in the past, representing something they didn't understand or misconceive, and a lot of people still feel that same way about it. You know, as soon as I stopped rapping and started singing, there was no threat. As soon as they hear that hard hip-hop beat and those rap lyrics, that art form, it scares them. They don't understand it.
The easiest way for you to try and kind of take away the threat from something that scares you is to try and devalue it.
Yeah, but how can they? If you bought my album and you've been singing my praises all this time, how can you just suddenly just switch on me and stop listening to me? That says more about you than me. And I'll win you back, just like I'm winning my rap fans back right now. And I said that. For anyone who criticises me for making a soul record, cool, because you'll come back with your tail between your legs when I bring out the next hip-hop record. And same goes for this lot. You know,
you'll be back.
Always, I'll win you back. And you know, the thing is, man, with my hip-hop music, I wrote it for those kids, the forgotten kids of society that no one was speaking for, no one was trying to connect with. Nothing's changed. When I make hip-hop, those are the people I'm making it for. Some people, I'm never gonna change the way they think, their prejudiced beliefs, racist beliefs, sexist beliefs, never. Because you're just, I guess, some people just born like that. No song I write is gonna change that. But the song will connect with people, like-minded people like myself that think the way I do. And hopefully with what I do afterwards with the charities, I can amass an army of people that are gonna help me change the things I think I may be able to change. And that's the most important thing. If you don't understand it, especially after hearing me speak about it now, you still got issues with the song and you still don't get it, well then maybe you're not as educated as you think. Or maybe you're educated academically, but you need to go out there and get some life experience under your belt. Because I tell you one thing, if these kids on the street and the estates are so stupid, how comes they can understand the art form of hip-hop and the rest of the world can't?